Well, now, as we've heard, the presidents of Russia and the U.S. will meet in Lisbon this weekend. The NATO summit there will map out missile defense, strategy in Afghanistan, and the entire role of the alliance. Russia's envoy to NATO says while Moscow and the alliance are moving closer on some issues, common ground on non-proliferation and missile defense still needs work. Now, let's get more from Diana Johnstone in Paris. She's an author who has written about NATO's role in the modern world. Now, Diana, NATO recently suggested Russia could be part of a joint missile defense project for Europe. But NATO has reportedly taken plans to remove Cold War-era nuclear weapons off the agenda, even though Russia sees them as a threat. So with that in mind, can Russia and NATO ever work together in the area of missile defense?
Well, I don't see how really they can work together unless it's completely on the terms that are set by the United States. And I think that this offer is simply to quell any objections that might exist in Europe that we're offending Russia. But in fact, I think it's a perfect example of the way the Obama administration says two things that are opposite all the time. We want to be friendly, but we're building up our defenses. We're going to get rid of nuclear weapons, but we're going to develop some more, that sort of thing.
All right. Well, as you have said, and also in your article, you say NATO is an instrument of U.S. strategy. But what about other major members? Don't they make their voices heard in the alliance?
Well, they don't make them heard loud enough so that it makes any difference. In private, they may, in these many conferences that the United States leads in order to get a consensus. But I'm waiting to hear them really object to anything. Perhaps the fact that there's a new defense minister in France, Alain Juppé, perhaps that he will say something, but actually I'm just waiting to hear them say anything that really consists of strategy. They may object to a little point, but it's the United States that sets the agenda always.
Okay, well, NATO is still committed to Afghanistan. Britain's top commander recently said that al-Qaeda and the Taliban cannot be defeated using military force and suggested that NATO should plan for a 40-year stay. Now, can NATO ever win that war?
Nobody seems to think so, but they're staying there because at least it's a way of building up, or the United States hopes it's a way of building up this sort of international army under its command. However, the things are going very, very badly in Afghanistan, as they always do for anybody who invades Afghanistan.
Okay, well, we see that NATO is now desperately searching for more allies. It's become clear that Americans have realized that confrontation with Russia is now pointless, and they need Russian help. But does Russia need NATO? Is it a win-win deal?
Well, I don't see any deal at all. In fact, I don't see exactly that what you're saying is correct, that the United States has decided that it's pointless to have confrontation with Russia. Why, then, is it building up forces in the Arctic, bringing Canadian and Scandinavian forces into an armed force whose only purpose could be to confront Russia over resources in the Arctic, assuming that the Arctic ice cap melts and opens up possible resources? The United States is carrying out military maneuvers in the Baltic, whose only opposition could be Russia, and in the Black Sea. So I don't see really that the United States has decided that confrontation with Russia is pointless. Again, it's a double thing. They say one thing and they do another, and it's impossible. Since it's a big bureaucracy, the Pentagon, you don't really know exactly what the policy is.
Okay, well, Russia is formally opposed to any fresh eastward expansion of NATO, but the alliance is still hoping to get Ukraine. You said in your article that this is a recipe for war with Russia. But how realistic is that chance of a NATO-Russia war?
Well, I don't think so. I don't even think it's so realistic for Ukraine to belong to NATO. And it isn't, in fact, NATO as a whole that is pushing for that. It's the United States. But it quiets the objections which came from its NATO allies, because Germany and France said they were against that, and the United States goes right ahead and keeps talking about how Ukraine must be part of NATO. I don't think that this is going to happen, and I don't think there's going to be war, but I think the United States likes to intimidate Russia as much as possible, to make it subservient, really.
All right, thank you very much for that. That was Diana Johnstone, author who has written about NATO's role in the modern world.